You sent us a ton of stuff about Aptos, and specifically the APT token. You want to know, is it worth all the hype?
Yeah, Aptos is definitely, they're making some noise, that's for sure. Those price swings and all the developments. It's kind of hard not to be curious.
And that's why we're doing this deep dive. We're going to look at those price predictions for Aptos, both the short term and the long term. So we're talking 2024, 2025, even all the way to 2030.
We've got forecasts from sources you know and trust, like CoinCodex and Crypto News. Plus, we'll throw in some additional insights from some big names like Binance and Coinbase.
But here's what's really cool about this deep dive. We're not just going to look at like the raw numbers. We're going to dig into what makes Aptos special, what makes it stand out. We're talking about things like the Move programming language and its connection to Meta and that whole DM project.
Yeah, you got to understand the tech, the people behind it. That's what separates the hype from the real potential.
Exactly. So let's start with where things stand right now. As of December 30th, 2024, Crypto News says that APT is trading at around $8.94.
That's a pretty big drop from its all-time high. Back in January of 2023, it hit 19.86.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's quite a dip. But it looks like Aptos still has a decent market cap.
Oh, for sure. Crypto News has it at $4.6 billion, and CoinCodex has it a little higher at $4.98 billion. Either way, Aptos is still a big player in the crypto world.
Okay, so let's get into those predictions. What are analysts saying about Aptos in the short term? Let's say for 2024 and 2025.
Well, Crypto News seems to be optimistic. They think that APT could hit $10.30 by the end of this year, and then climb up to $10.69 by the end of 2025.
Okay, so a slow and steady climb, but CoinCodex is way more bullish.
Oh yeah, much more bullish. They're predicting APT could get all the way up to 29.79 by January 2025.
Wow, that's a huge difference. Why are those outlooks so different?
Well, you know, predictions are based on a lot of different factors, and analysts weigh those factors in different ways. One thing that seems to be driving the optimism in the short term is Aptos' role in EXPO 2025 over in Japan.
Ah, yes, EXPO 2025. Aptos is the official blockchain partner for that whole event. That's going to be massive exposure.
Huge, yeah. Crypto News says that they're expecting something like 28 million visitors. Imagine the kind of exposure that's going to bring to Aptos. Potentially a ton of new users, which could really impact the price of the token.
For sure, real-world use and adoption is key for any cryptocurrency to succeed long-term. But it's not just EXPO 2025. There was that acquisition, too. Right?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Aptos acquired HashPallet back in October of 2024, and that gives them a direct connection to the Japanese market. HashPallet's pallet chain is actually moving all of its operations over to the Aptos network.
So not only are they going to be powering the digital wallet for EXPO 2025, which is going to introduce millions of people to Aptos, they're already building a foundation in a major market like Japan through that acquisition.
And Crypto News thinks that that integration with the pallet chain could even happen before EXPO 2025, so that could boost demand for APT even sooner.
Okay, so we've got EXPO 2025, we've got the expansion into Japan, a lot of positive buzz. What else is fueling those optimistic short-term predictions?
Well, we can't forget about the bigger economic picture. Crypto News mentioned that there's a chance central banks could cut interest rates in 2025.
Ah, yeah. The macroeconomic factors, the Fed and those interest rate decisions always seem to be making headlines. How does that tie into Aptos?
Well, when interest rates are high, investors tend to play it safe. But if those rates start to drop, it might make them more open to riskier assets, like cryptocurrencies.
So a rate cut in 2025 could create a better environment for crypto overall, and that would give Aptos another potential boost.
Exactly. It's not guaranteed or anything, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on. It all plays a role.
So the short-term outlook is looking pretty good. What about the long game? What are the experts saying about Aptos' potential all the way out to 2030?
Well, Crypto News thinks APT could hit 28.94 by 2030.
Almost triple its current price. But they did give a more cautious prediction, too.
Yeah, they did. They said it could be around 13.58 if the economy takes a downturn. A lot can change in 7 years, in the crypto market. Well, it's known for being a bit of a roller coaster, that's for sure. What about CoinCodex? What's their long-term outlook?
They're even more bullish long-term. They're saying Aptos could hit 60.54 in 2029. And then drop a little to 38.91 by the end of the decade.
Wow, those are some pretty big numbers. They're really betting on Aptos' growth. What's making them so confident?
Well, our sources point to a few things. Aptos is really focused on global expansion and making things easier for new users.
Yeah, I remember reading about that. Making Aptos more accessible to everyone. They added Google login. And they're even working on getting rid of private keys for some things, which can be a real pain for new people.
Right. It's a smart move. They want more people to use Aptos, and that means making things simpler. They've also been adding to their leadership team.
Oh, yeah, they brought in some big names to their advisory board,
Yeah.
like execs from Google and Stanford.
That kind of thing adds a lot of credibility.
Right.
And it could help them land some big partnerships. Yeah, partnerships are going to be key if Aptos wants to reach those goals. But let's not forget about those macroeconomic forces we talked about earlier. They'll have an impact on the long term too, won't they?
Definitely. Crypto News pointed out that if inflation keeps going down, more regular investors might feel comfortable putting money into crypto.
So the global economy is a factor here too. Crypto might be its own thing, but it's still connected to those bigger trends.
Exactly. You can't really analyze crypto in isolation.
Okay, so we've talked about the price predictions and some of the things that are driving them, but what really makes Aptos stand out? Why should people care about this project?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? One of the most interesting things about Aptos is their Move programming language.
And this isn't just any programming language, right? This came from Meta. It was originally developed for their DM project.
Exactly. Back when it was Facebook. Meta had big plans for DM. They put a ton of resources into creating Move. They wanted it to be secure and scalable for blockchain applications.
So even though DM didn't work out, Aptos got this powerful tool that was made for blockchain.
Right. And Aptos says that Move lets them get incredibly fast transaction speeds.
How fast are we talking?
They're claiming over 130,000 transactions per second. That's insane compared to a lot of other blockchains.
That kind of speed and scalability could really change things, especially if they're going for mainstream adoption.
Oh, for sure. It all comes down to their consensus mechanism and their parallel execution engine. It lets them process transactions way more efficiently than those older blockchains.
So some really impressive tech there. But remember all those articles about how Aptos is focusing on user friendliness?
Absolutely. They know that they need to attract more than just the hardcore crypto people. That's why they're doing things like adding Google login and trying to get rid of those complex private keys.
So they're not just building a strong blockchain, they're also thinking about how to make it easy for everyone to use.
Exactly. It seems like they understand that mass adoption won't happen if the technology is too difficult to use.
Okay, so we've got a project with strong technology, ambitious goals, and a solid team. But before we get too excited, let's hear what some other analysts have to say.
Yeah, it's always good to get a balanced perspective. Our sources did mention a few different opinions. Let's take a look at those.
Okay, so we've looked at a bunch of different perspectives on Aptos, some really bullish predictions, some potential roadblocks they might hit.
Yeah, we even got into the nitty-gritty of their tech, the Move programming language, their claim of those crazy high transaction speeds. It's all pretty impressive stuff.
Yeah, it really is. But one thing that keeps coming back to me is that connection to DM and Meta. It's kind of a double-edged sword, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. I mean, some people are going to hear Meta and immediately be skeptical. They haven't always had the best reputation.
Yeah.
And DM itself, it didn't exactly take off.
Right. But then again, Aptos got all this valuable tech from DM, and they've had a chance to learn from those past mistakes.
It's like they got a head start. But they're still doing things their own way. It'll be interesting to see what they do next.
Exactly. And that's what this deep dive is all about, right?
Yeah.
You sent us this wanting to know what's behind the Aptos hype, and we explored all of it, the price predictions, the tech, even how the bigger economy could affect Aptos.
We tried to give you the full picture, so now it's up to you to decide if Aptos is something you want to be a part of.
So to wrap it all up, Aptos is a young project, but they're making some big moves. They have some really cool tech and a team that's shooting for the stars.
The future of Aptos. Just like all of crypto, it's full of possibilities. There are definitely risks, but there's also a ton of potential.
And remember, knowledge is power, especially in the world of crypto. Keep researching, stay curious, and maybe Aptos will be part of your crypto journey.